Last week, we revealed to you for the first time Donald Spencer's oral history. Spencer was the first African-American real estate agent in Cincinnati.
And tonight we're going to hear more from that oral history project done by a UC student in 1975, where Mr. Spencer will speak on his thoughts about the housing for black families in his home city.
I was born in Cincinnati on Friday, March 5th, 1915, in a three-room flat at 3003 Kerper Avenue.
Donald A. Spencer grew up on the east side of Cincinnati, first in Walnut Hills.
These were New Dunbar flats, built at the same time as Washington Terrace, Lincoln Terrace, and Melbourne Terrace, now a part of the Cincinnati Model Homes.
Cincinnati Model Homes Company was one of the first attempts to provide housing for low-income families in the country. It was created by a retired distiller and banker named Jacob Schmidlap.
These new buildings with bath and gas mantle fixtures were the latest thing in housing for middle-income people back in the 1911, 12, and 13 years.
Schmidlap ran the company out of the grocery store on Kerper Avenue inside Washington Terrace. While other landlords took 1/4 to 1/3 of a worker's wages, Schmidlap asked for 1 day's wages for 1 week's rent.
Represented private investors headed by Mr. Schmidlap, the representation of concern for good housing 20 years before the federally inspired Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing Authority was built. Kerper Avenue was among the finest residential sections for black people who were able to escape from the crowded West End.
By 1937, when Spencer graduated from the University of Cincinnati, President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal program was trying to bring stability to the economy.
And then there was the FHA, which encouraged home building and buying and insuring mortgages with very little down payment.
3 years later, in 1940, Spencer wrote his master's thesis on job opportunities for black people.
And this seemed to me to be hitting at the major problem of black people in America. For equal employment opportunities, the only way we could measure up to the standards of other people.
Spencer became the first black member of the Cincinnati Real Estate Board in 1964.
Which I joined under no pretense of being in favor of the very prejudiced positions they were taking against fair housing. Rather, I insisted that they needed me as a minority point of view.
Beginning decades of work to change real estate for black residents in Cincinnati. John Lomax, Local 12 News.
You may have seen it there in that wedding photo. He is the husband of another Cincinnati legend, Mrs. Marion Spencer. We want to say thank you to the UC Archive and Rare Books Library, the Cincinnati History Library, and of course the Spencer family. So what we just brought you was a portion of the 120 minutes of Donald Spencer's oral history. The UC Archives will be posting that full digital archive online soon, but until then, you can hear this and our previous story on Mr. Spencer's oral history at cincinnatipoverty.com.